In 2015, Rachel Dolezal, a white chapter president of NAACP, was vilified for identifying as black. Some men choose to identify as women, and some women choose to identify as men. You will be vilified if you deny that they are literally what they identify as. Discuss. He got cancelled. Hello and welcome back to another video on this channel. Today we're going to be talking about Richard Dawkins, my thoughts on him getting cancelled, my ideas on cancel culture in general, why I think it's absolutely academically dishonest, and all that cool stuff. So if you're interested in that, make sure to watch till the end of this video. Also make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow and means a lot to me. This might be quite interesting because I'm a Christian apologist, if you haven't known this already. And normally I do not really agree with Richard Dawkins' view, who's normally seen as the great new atheist or one of the spearheads of the new atheist movement. So although I disagree with a lot of things with Richard Dawkins, the guy's getting cancelled as a fellow intellectual or a fellow nice guy who really is trying to pursue the truth. I reach out my hands to his shoulders and, if that's the correct phraseology, and say, well, sorry to hear about that, mate. What's happening to you is really unjust. And I'm wearing a black shirt, not because of any significance, of course, but it's black. It's kind of a mourning color, and that's kind of mourning the death, or it's mourning the craziness, or the death or the slow descent of the intellectual honesty and intellectual freedom and free speech of society in general as a result of a lot of new controversial topics. So that's what I'm going to be talking in this video today. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So I have some of the knowledge and the details on my phone right here. So if I'm looking at the phone, it's not because I'm checking my WhatsApps during the video. It's just because I'm reading off of the article, and I'm reading off the source is the Guardian article. I don't know how trustworthy it is. However, in general, the things that's talking about here is widely reported and is quite true. So the first thing it says is the American Humanist Association has withdrawn its Humanist of the Year award from Richard Dawkins 25 years after he received the honor, criticizing the academic and author for demeaning marginalized groups using the guise of scientific discourse. And we'll figure out what the tweet that he tweeted out is later in a bit. But, you know, I just have to say, it's American, it's humanist, it's association. I'm not really sure if that got to do with anything, but hearing those three things put together just kind of just makes me feel that there's something wrong with that society, especially if they made Richard Dawkins one of their prized people. To be honest, I have to admit, I don't think that Richard Dawkins takes the arguments for the existence of God or religion seriously enough, and I don't think he's perhaps the best representation of atheism in general. However, he got a prize from that association. This has got nothing to do with whether I like the association or not, but I think it does rings some bells or raises a few red flags. American Association. Humanist Association just raises a few red flags in my mind at the start. But with that in mind, let's continue reading on. So essentially, he got the honor for his significant contributions in The Selfish Gene and The God Delusion. I haven't read neither of the books. However, from what I've heard and the extracts I've read, I don't think it really interacts deeply with the problems, and it really critiques a very surface level kind of theism, which I have to say, I'm not blaming him for it, or I don't think he's doing it just to strawman the opposition, because he has a place in the society, just as some other Christian philosophers or apologists have their place in society to be really to bringing the Christianity to a very popular level instead of the deep, rigorous academic level, which is generally seen as a more specific and, well, kind of smaller group. And of course, you have that smaller group, but you also have its representatives in a popular level as well. So I think that what we see with Richard Dawkins, that he has his role in the more popular sphere. So I don't want to say it as a particular argument against him or anything like that. I think he's just trying to do his best for what he believes in the way that he wants to the most. So that's kind of his area, and that's why he does it. I don't think they're the best books to read if you want to figure out the greatest case for atheism or some arguments against theism. I would not direct you there. However, that's always an interesting place to start and an interesting place to go to. So let us get into the tweet, because I think that is perhaps about time we go into the tweet and we start talking about whether or not I think it's worthy of someone getting cancelled. Spoiler alert, it's not. So what Richard Dawkins says is, in 2015, Rachel Dolezal, a white chapter president of NAACP, was vilified for identifying as black. Some men choose to identify as women, and some women choose to identify as men. You will be vilified if you deny that they are literally what they identify as. Discuss. He got cancelled. And what are my thoughts on it? So let us first look about what this actually means. So essentially he's saying is that in the past, there was someone called Rachel Dolezal, I do not know who it is, never heard of her before, who identified as a black, and then got cancelled for identifying as a different race. Now what Richard Dawkins says is that, well, some men choose to identify as women and some women choose to identify as men. They're identifying as different genders. However, if you deny their identification, then you are vilified. So he's drawing a comparison between the vilification of people who are, well, not agreeing with the traditional gender or the traditional sexes, and comparing that to someone who identifies as a different gender, a different race, and then he gets cancelled and says discuss at the bottom. First thing in mind, you could read that and completely realize that he's not comparing about either of the ideas. Writing that, he could have completely disagreed with it, yet still put the same thing. Because what you see is that he's providing a topic for people to think, to promote critical thinking about different topics. He could completely disagree with it, but just tweet out the idea to make people start thinking about opposition viewpoints. And that's a very good thing. Instead of getting cancelled, it could be seriously something which could develop intellectual thought, which I think people who are trying to cancel him are trying to steal away from it. What they're trying to do is, and you could read the novel 1984 by George Orwell, it's an absolutely phenomenal novel where a group tries to cancel or tries to oppress a smaller group just because they share different views from them. And in the same way, what we see here is that we have a larger group, perhaps the woke left, in most situations, are cancelling, including the American Humanist Association, who are vehemently against opposing opinions. And out of that opposition for opposing opinions, just decide to cancel the opposition because, well, I can't deal with it intellectually, so let me just cancel them and take away their awards because, well, I'm too weak for them, and essentially I cannot deal with them intellectually, so I have to cancel them. Out of my idea of ressentiment, out of my idea of envy and jealousy, I then hate them, and as a result of that hate and resentment, I cancel them. So that's essentially what they're trying to do. And in the same way, sometimes, and to develop the point that Richard Dawkins might not even support such a view, sometimes when I'm in Discord servers, especially I'm in a few Discord servers, just a quick shout out to join my Discord server if you want to develop any ideas or talk with me in the link below, you could join that Discord server. However, just in like sometimes when I am in Discord servers, debate or discussion Discord servers, I'll put in a topic which I completely disagree with. For example, I believe in pro-life. I sometimes will put a pro-choice statement in there, like for example, the right to life of a fetus does not override the right to choice of a woman, a pro-choice statement. Discuss. I do not agree at all with the statement that I put on. However, I would put it out just to really stimulate thought and just put out an opposing opinion on a server where people would disagree with that opinion to just make them think of the opposition viewpoint. And that is a very, very reasonable thing to do. And so you can see that Richard Dawkins could perhaps, in the best possible world, or in the best case scenario, at least for the leftists, well, just realize that you can just have a different opinion. Richard Dawkins might not believe in it, but just put it out for intellectual stimulation. And then, what we do see, however, is that people cancel him. And that's my problem with cancel culture, is that they want to crush intellectual thought and discourse. Instead of interacting with an opposition way, in a rigorous way, they take their own ideas as a priori truth, accept it, and then after that try to cancel out everyone who disagrees with them, not because they actually think they're right. Of course they think they're right, but mainly they're canceling other people because of a sense of inferiority. They don't think that they could interact with others on an intellectual basis, and I think this is what's happening in their subconscious, and that jealousy is expressing itself extrinsically as hatred, and out of that hatred they try to cancel people because they fundamentally know they can't compete on that intellectual level, and hence they want to crush other people as a herd and crush those people, which is a very sad phenomenon. I deeply feel a great sense of sympathy for Richard Dawkins, although I disagree with a lot of the things he says in the past, as I've said before in this video. I don't think anyone deserves to be cancelled, especially someone who's searching for the truth, and especially someone who wants to really present a rigorous argument and promote stimulation, intellectual discussion, and discourse. These discussions and contributions should have nothing but, or should be responded by nothing but praise and admiration and support, instead of being shut down in the first moment it is raised. So I think there is a significant problem here. However, I do have to admit that I do not necessarily agree with Richard Dawkins' second tweet. He says, "I do not intend to disparage trans people. I see that my academic discuss question has been misconstrued as such, and I deplore this. It was not my interest to ally in any way with Republican bigots in US who are now exploiting this issue." Of course, some Republican bigots are going to exploit this issue, but it seems very weird why he'll just bring that into the conversation as well. Of course, he says he wants to separate with the alt-right and those extremists. However, at the same time, he could also just as well point towards the left and say, well, there are also leftist bigots as well. It's not just a Republican issue. A lot of people across the board are bigots as well. It's like the people who support cancel culture, all of them are bigots. No one can say that they support cancel culture and be not a bigot, because a bigot literally means it's the majority or your group discriminating upon a different group, and that's the idea of bigotry and discrimination. However, what you do see here is that the people who are cancelling people, they are discriminating and are bigoted and express hatred towards the people that they're cancelling. So ultimately, you see that the people who are cancelling just go back to be the ones who are, well, the people who are cancelling other people are just bigots and are as bad as the people who they're trying to fight against, or at least the people who they think they're trying to fight against. And it really reminds me of the great Ronald Reagan quote, where it says, I think, wait, let me look for it a moment. I'll be back when I find it. So I found the quote. The quote is essentially this. It's very simple, by Ronald Reagan. "If fascism ever comes to America, it will come under the name of liberalism." That is exactly what we see with cancel culture. They proclaim that they're liberals while fundamentally they're trying to tyrannize those who disagree with them. That is my fundamental problem with cancel culture, and that is essentially why I wanted to make this video, to say my support or share my support to Richard Dawkins. It doesn't matter whether you're a theist or an atheist. These times will come when the Untermenschen, the undermen, those who try to oppress other people, when those people try to get as a herd to crush those who are actually trying to promote free speech, dialogue, and discourse. It doesn't matter what you believe in, as long as we support in freedom of speech, intellectual honesty, and academic discourse. That is a banner that we stand under, regardless of whether you're a theist, an atheist, a Jew, a Gentile, whoever you are, it doesn't really matter. As long as you stand for these values, we can stand as a community together, as a community which fights against cancel culture and further oppression and fascism. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Stay safe, like always, God bless, goodbye, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Stay safe, and God bless, my friends.